Judge bars Trump administration's use of expedited removals for some migrants. A federal judge has issued a temporary restraining order against the Trump administration's policy of expedited deportations, specifically targeting individuals who enter the United States legally through humanitarian parole. This video marks a significant pause on an enforcement strategy that immigration advocates claim disproportionately affects vulnerable populations who sought refuge through legal channels. The lawsuit, brought forward by the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights and several civic organizations, challenges the government's practice of placing humanitarian parolees into fast-tracked removal proceedings, effectively denying them the right to pursue legitimate immigration relief. Legal challenge to expedited deportation policies. The case arises amid heightened concerns about immigration enforcement tactics, particularly under the Trump administration's expansive interpretation of expedited removal authority. Originally intended to apply only to recent border crossers, those who had entered the U.S. within 14 days and within 100 miles of the border, the Trump administration reinterpreted the law to target individuals anywhere in the U.S. who had arrived within the last 2 years. This change enabled immigration and customs enforcement agents to detain people far from the border and without court oversight, often in surprise operations outside courtrooms or during routine check-ins. The plaintiffs argue that these enforcement practices violate both statutory immigration laws and due process protections, especially when applied to individuals who were allowed into the country on humanitarian grounds. These migrants, having complied with the legal entry requirements and been granted temporary protection, suddenly find themselves at risk of swift deportation without the opportunity to make their case before an immigration judge. Judge Cobb's ruling, a cautious but significant intervention. In a pointed rebuke of the administration's tactics, U.S. District Judge Jia Cobb emphasized that many of the affected migrants had played by the rules in seeking lawful entry into the country. In a world of bad options, they played by the rules, she wrote. Judge Cobb expressed concern that the federal government had retroactively changed the conditions for humanitarian parolees already residing in the U.S., now exposing them to removal under standards that did not apply when they entered. While the judge's order does not reverse individual deportation orders or ICE dismissals of immigration court cases, it does narrow the scope of who can be subjected to expedited removal. Broader implications and ongoing legal battle. This illustrates a broader tension within U.S. immigration policy between enforcement efficiency and the rights of non-citizens to seek protection or relief. For many migrants, especially those fleeing violence or political persecution, the promise of legal refuge in the United States has been overshadowed by abrupt policy shifts and unpredictable enforcement. Judge Cobb's ruling will remain in effect pending the outcome of the litigation, unless overturned on appeal. It temporarily blocks ICE's ability to use courthouse arrests and checkpoint sweeps as venues for enforcing expedited deportations against individuals who legally entered under humanitarian programs. The court's decision to halt the Trump administration's use of expedited removals for humanitarian parolees underscores the judiciary's role in checking executive overreach, especially in matters affecting basic legal protections for migrants. Unless overturned on appeal, the court's decision will remain in effect throughout the legal proceedings, marking a major development in the ongoing battle over immigration enforcement policies. That is all for today in this video. What are your thoughts on this? Please let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching the entire video. Hopefully the information is useful to you. See you later in the next video. Till then, take care.
Just paused from the administration use of expedited removals for some migrants. A federal judge has temporarily blocked the Trump administration from using expedited deportation against migrants who legally enter the US through humanitarian parole. The lawsuit led by the Coalition for Human Immigrants' Rights challenges the expansion of removal authority that now targets migrants nationwide who arrived within the last 2 years. Judge Jia Cobb criticized the retroactive changes in policy, emphasizing that many affected individuals followed legal procedures. The ruling restricts ICE ability to detain and swiftly deport such migrants, particularly from courtrooms and checkpoints, and will remain in place pending the lawsuit outcome unless overturned on appeal.